Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris, and while I'm on vacation right now, I had to stop and share this incredibly exciting news that the next Ninjago City modular set has been officially announced. Now, this is a bit of a crazy surprise announcement. We had been hearing rumors of a new, larger, building-based LEGO Ninjago set coming out in March, but I think a lot of people just anticipated it to be the Crossroads and not actually a new entry in the Ninjago City series. Well, I'm happy to reveal the Ninjago City Workshops, the latest addition to the ongoing modular buildings of Ninjago City, this time featuring a really interesting play feature to be able to build up and customize a mech. This is such a fun set, and I will be having a full-on in-depth review of the set coming very soon as we're allowed to post reviews, but until then, let's take a closer look at some of the official images of the set. And yes, we're finally getting Casual Harumi, which is maybe my #1 most wanted Ninjago figure ever, so you could say I'm pretty happy about this. Let's go. Okay, so this is set number 71837 Ninjago City Workshops. It will retail for $250 US, 250 euros, or 220 British pounds when it releases on March 1st, and for that price, it contains 3,244 pieces, as well as 10 minifigures, or 11 if you count Dorama's robot, including Harumi in her casual outfit, which is maybe my most anticipated Ninjago minifigure ever, and I know a lot of people have been wanting this character ever since she appeared very prominently in that outfit for Season 8 Sons of Garmadon. Altogether, this is a really interesting build because I feel like it bridges the gap between play and display. Most of the Ninjago City sets, at least I would argue, are primarily for display. They're really nice looking modular buildings, they look fantastic in your city, and they're just chock full of so many details. And of course, play has always been a pattern with all of them, where you have these individual rooms and these individual little scenes that you can recreate, but by and large, almost all of these cities have meant to be aesthetics first and then play second. This kind of flips the concept on its head, where the entire point of the workshop set is putting together a brand new form of mech. The entire set is built around this staging area platform for you to construct the mech, and it even includes extra stickers for you to be able to customize the frame for each of the main 6 ninja as well as Eren and Sora. Altogether, it's a really interesting build because almost every single part of the set is entirely built around this construction mechanism. You have armor pieces hidden around the stores, you have multiple cranes working on the mech, and even the stores themselves are mech focused. The main building that you get near the top right there is supposed to be a sort of Gundam-esque mech store where you can see examples of all of the previous Titan mechs available for sale. It also introduces a really interesting new frame for a highly posable mech that we haven't really seen in Ninjago before, and I'm really curious to see what folks are going to do with this frame and if we're going to see a lot of mocks based off of ninja mechs for the frame, because they literally give you the stickers to do so. That being said, it is a Ninjago City set after all, so a ton of details are also factored into each of the individual rooms. There's a tiny little noodle shop, there's Zane's apartment, Dorama's show, as well as the mech store, and all of them actually lend towards a really interesting blend of settings that we haven't really seen from a Ninjago City set before. I'd say the most underdeveloped is probably the needle stand because it's literally just a small stand, but the stores get more and more interesting as the line progresses on, with the mech store being one of my favorites because it includes a small-scale build of my personal favorite Ninjago set ever, which is Cole's Titan Dragon Mech, which just came out last year. I don't know if I've ever said that on camera, but yeah, that's it. I think after a lot of thinking, that's gotta be my favorite Ninjago set. But going back to taking a look at the workshops themselves, it's a really interesting build because they're introducing a new frame, which almost feels like an AFOL-inspired take on the entire building process. One thing about being in the Bionicle community and the large action figure LEGO community is I am totally used to people sharing these really impressive Technic or system robot frames which you can use to basically make your own characters off of the base structure. And LEGO hasn't really done something like that before as explicitly as this. Sure, they've used similar types of builds for stuff like the Ninjago Elemental mechs or the Core mechs, where all of them kind of follow the same patterns, but this is something completely different. It is explicitly giving you a specialized frame to be able to customize a mech on, and I find that to be super interesting. The minifigs, of course, are a big highlight of the set. We're getting a mix of fan-favorite characters we've been wanting for years, as well as a ton of other characters who just appeared in Dragon's Rising Season 1, who I honestly never thought we'd actually get physical minifigs of. The highlight to me is Harumi in her casual outfit, which does include an alternate expression that shows her angry. Unfortunately, the legs are not printed on her, which is a bit of a letdown, especially because they were printed in the show, but given they were pretty constrained on budget here and wanting to make the most of it when creating these new figures, I think it is an acceptable compromise. Dorama is another really interesting inclusion in the set, especially because he is a newer character who just appeared. I think they could have maybe made it a little better by adding in some sparkle detail into the torso like he has in the show, but overall it's still a really good representation of the character, and he does have a new head print as well. We also get a version of his puppet which he uses to menace the ninja, albeit very scaled down, but still very posable. Dr. LaRoe is another interesting one that I never really thought we'd get as a minifigure, who is another secondary villain for Season 1 of Dragon's Rising, and it is awesome to get Twitchy Tim, who we were supposed to get in a blister pack back in 2021 that was cancelled due to supply chain issues. So it is awesome to finally get him as a physical minifig. In terms of some of the minifigures that are returning from other sets, we have Pixel, who first appeared in the January wave, a phenomenal minifigure. I love the detail of the lavender color mixed with the purple, and the Samurai X symbol on the chest, as well as a new alternate face with the mask. Just a really well done figure overall, and cool to see her appear in more sets. We get a Dragonian Tourist, which is a pretty funny take on the main villain faction. This one's probably not going to be canon, but it's still a nice minifig to get. And then we have the Shirtless Zane minifigure, who does have that torso that he has in the $10 mech set, but he does use the Detective Zane face, which is unfortunately the rest of these civilian minifigures are pretty uninteresting. None of them are stylized to really fit into the Ninjago world, unlike some prior civilians, which I guess makes sense, especially because they seem pretty budget constrained when it comes to new torsos and new headpieces and new prints for the figures in this set in general, and it's kind of a bonus we're getting a new Ninjago City modular set so soon after the last one at all, so it's not necessarily a major complaint, but they really don't feel like they fit in a Ninjago set compared to some others. Going back to my final thoughts on the set, it's a really interesting build, and to be honest, I think it's going to be one of the most controversial builds in the entire Ninjago City lineup. It's not quite as aesthetically pleasing or even as intricate with the detail as many of the other versions of the city sets, but it just comes with a really interesting build feature for the mech, and I feel like your enjoyment of the set is really going to boil down as to whether or not you like this feature. For me personally, I love mechs and I love these city sets, so this is the set for me. But I do completely recognize that I don't speak for everyone, and I'm sure there's going to be a ton of people who would have preferred they just went in one direction or another, had some sort of a non-city style mech building platform, and then maybe had a city more in line with the previous versions of the sets. I'm curious to see what folks think about this build, but I absolutely love it, and I cannot wait to share my review very soon. I hope you enjoyed our early look at Ninjago City workshops. Incredible to get another Ninjago modular, and I cannot wait to post my review. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to stay tuned for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon, and bye for now.